Look, I don't wanna talk. How you try and press the kid and really you was soft. All you know is capping, homie, you don't know the law. Pedal to the metal, you ain't catching me in park. I just hit the stop. I don't wanna speak. Talking all that good, so I just hit you with the play. Running up the score like Tyreek, I'm going deep. Watch me how I'm saucing, I be spreading it with ease. You gon' see the peace, you gon' see the flex when you hear these writtens. Trust me, you know the difference. I got a long ways to climb before you see a slippage. I see the process and the journey I'm supposed to be, but perplexed, cause I don't really see nobody close to me. Hopefully this ain't wasted and I know it ain't. You gotta take the time for seasoning to marinate. You need the patience and the pressure just to detonate. I'm trying to blow up and these heathens need to get it straight. Gifted with a vision and precision, I'm just trying to make it high key. Might be breaking free like I was Zion in some Nikes. Tucked at the crib, bro, you know just where to find me. Making beats and spitting crack verses pretty likely. Yeah, socks with the burst, boy, I ain't changed a bit. Normal guy till I die, you know what it is. You probably thought I'd give up now that I got some kids, but really now I got these arrows aiming at your ribs. I don't wanna talk. How you try and press the kid and really you was soft. All you know is capping, homie, you don't know the law. Pedal to the metal, you ain't catching me in park. I just hit the stop. I don't wanna speak. Talking all that good, so I just hit you with the plays. Running up the score like Tyreek, I'm going deep. Watch me how I'm saucing, I be spreading it with ease. You gon' see the peas. Hey, please be on the notice, these my motives. About my chicken and its rotis. You parsimonious, you take it all cause you a locust. My focus is to grow this mission. A visionary, get a dictionary. We here off the rip and we ain't sharing, we just caring. Let me speak it to the manager. We damage her, no you ain't messing with an amateur. I'm ramming, the competition ain't standing up. They fanning from left to right cause now they branded us. Now who that is? Mike Jones, they ain't want me now, they all on me. Got counterfeits trying to play me, I guess they thinking I'm Sony. These big head dummies showing up and out of their character. Homie, you need a price cause without it the squad ain't hearing you. Top of that, we ain't fearing yet. We swinging for the fences with the sting of a left hook that connects with Sonny Liston. I'm dismissing any and all of the disrespect. Nonetheless, it ain't a threat, I'm just letting y'all know who's next. I don't wanna talk. How you try and press the kid and really you was soft. All you know is capping, homie, you don't know the law. Pedal to the metal, you ain't catching me in park. I just hit the stop. I don't wanna speak. Talking all that good, so I just hit you with the plays. Running up the score like Tyreek, I'm going deep. Watch me how I'm saucing, I be spreading it with ease. You gon' see the peas, you gon' see the...
Yeah, I got money on my phone and money on me. I got all these hoes, but still lonely. They been blowing on that strong, but still so weak. I've been hiding a drone, but still low-key. We been sitting on the floor, they in the nosebleeds. Lately I've been in control, they can't control me. Yeah, they about to get exposed for being so cheap. I've been sticking to the code and I ain't gon' cheat. Yo, grew my hair and took the grill out. Think it's time to put it back in. Trying to get into that big house, turn the crib into the mansion. Needed something with that big bounce. You know I had to hit Jackson. Aaron Rodgers with the quick routes. How much the gang we packing? We on the field at Lambo. Might peel in a Lambo. Murder drills in my camo. They know what the M stand for. Still got fam in Hawaii, yeah. Couple fans in the lobby, yeah. Couple grand in my pocket, yeah. Couple grams of wasabi, yeah. Eye it up, no glasses. Light it up, no matches. Wife it up, no ratchets. Might turn my wife to an actress. And we gon' make a movie, no Kim K. Give a fuck about what your friends say. I got money on my phone and money on me. I got all these hoes, but still lonely. They been blowing on that strong, but still so weak. I've been hiding a drone, but still low-key. We been sitting on the floor, they in the nosebleeds. Lately I've been in control, they can't control me. Yeah, they about to get exposed for being so cheap. I've been sticking to the code and I ain't gon' cheat.
I'm just sticking to the code, I keep it so G. She asked me what I smoke, I'm smoking OG. I don't fool with too many, only catch me 4 deep. Gotta stay away from snakes, swear these people so creep. I've been grinding for a minute, many labels so sleep. These rappers drop a song, be hot for about a week. I put Gucci on my toes, I keep some cold feet. I ain't paying for no hoes, you niggas know me. I'm about to body the beat. I keep me a hottie with me. She wanna for a fee. Give me that for free. Keep me some money on me. Smoking the gas, keep. You with me, sheesh. Bonito, cheap, keep.
I got money on my phone and money on me. I got all these hoes, but still lonely. They been blowing on that strong, but still so weak. I've been higher than a drone, but still low-key. We been sitting on the floor, they in the nosebleeds. Lately I've been in control, they can't control me. Yeah, they about to get exposed for being so cheap. I've been sticking to the code and I ain't gon' cheat.
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the road, here we go. Yeah, we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming on my landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command like, yeah, you about to see me on demand like, you know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, and we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't never going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the road, here we go, yeah, at the top of the class on a roll, ayy, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know, yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, yeah, on the road, here we go, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the road, here we go, yeah, at the top of the class on a roll, ayy, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know, yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, yeah, on the road, here we go, here we go. Here we go. On a roll, here we go.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Frankie Candles live stream every single weekday right here at 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Mafia, what a complete and total snooze fest today, as it is a bank holiday. Bitcoin just going sideways. I want to cover the next local key level of support, which if you guys have been watching the live stream will not be too unfamiliar to you guys. But I want to go over some of the higher time frames and talk about what I'm anticipating next here for Bitcoin. We have some money flow coming out on the higher time frames, guys. It does look like we could potentially get this continuation of the overall downtrend, but I'm also going to cover one scenario where we might be able to come up first and then maybe break out to all-time highs and maybe get the bigger dump to the downside. I'm going to cover that scenario with you guys today because we have to be aware and understand where that liquidity is sitting. But I'm going to give you guys all my thoughts. We'll take a look at the weekly all the way down to the lower time frames. We'll jump into the smaller time frames to kind of try to call what this thing is going to do maybe tomorrow or over the next day or so. And then I'll just go over my general kind of thought process on where we could potentially go if we do continue this move to the downside. But yeah, total snooze fest here on Bitcoin, guys. Like, not even just locally, but also just like we've been sitting here, ranging around 102 to, we peaked into the all-time high, and then we kind of just ranging around here. We got a big range, a small range, and now Bitcoin is just literally asleep today. So we're going to cover all the key levels for you guys. I'm actually only going to go for about an hour tonight. I have something I have to do. So yeah, I mean, we'll see. We'll probably just go for 2 hours, and I'll just, screw up my plan. But we'll see what happens. I'm going to try to go a little bit shorter tonight because Bitcoin is boring, and I do have some stuff I have to get done. But shout out to the CandleMafia. Thank you guys for being here. I appreciate every single one of you guys for tuning in. We got Crypto Maxi in the chat. What is going on? Said, let's have a pump, Frankie. Dump it, Frankie. Just not sideways, Frankie. Shout out to Crypto Maxi. Yeah, this is like my least favorite scenario, guys, when we have these like tight little ranges. It does look like we might have a bear pennant forming, but we'll cover it all in just a second. Shout out to Dave Hagen in the chat. We got Gen Z going boring in the chat. Shout out to Gen Z. Welcome in. We got Curtis Neal, Mark Dutch, Ligma Wick. Shout out to Ligma Wick. Says, don't Ligma Wick, but do lick that like button, guys. Don't forget to smash that like button. Every 100 likes we get gives you guys some extra chances to win some free crypto on tomorrow night's live stream. We're going to be doing our giveaway tomorrow. If we get 1,000 likes on this sideways live stream somehow, I'll give away $150 in Solana, and we'll add that to the giveaway as well. But let's see. Shout out to Pennywise in the chat. We got Golden Child, Coin Hoover. What is going on, man? Welcome in. Thank you guys all for being here. We got Jesse, our like police, in the chat, so smash that like button. If he asks you, you got to respect that like police. But with all that being said, guys, let's go ahead. Shout out to Johnny December as well. Nirvana in the chat. We got Kingpin in the chat. What is going on, brother? But yeah, B Team Crypto, good to see you in here. K Diggity Phoebe says hi. Let's go. But yeah, with all that being said, guys, let's go ahead and jump on into the charts, do this quick breakdown of the price action. And then if we have some time, I'll take a look at a couple of altcoins. But without further ado, let's go ahead and jump on into the chart. Shout out to Vegas Claw, and shout out to Spiritual Trading Podcast, bro. You got me cracking up with these super chats. And Vegas Claw with the Frankie folds his laundry. I assume it was supposed to say before he puts it in the washing machine. But shout out to you guys. Thank you for being here. I appreciate every single one of you guys. Now, let's go ahead and dish out some of that sauce. So, as we look at the charts here, guys, you know that weekly red dot had been lingering. It's been flashing on and off. It disappeared yesterday. Now it's back. We'll see if this confirms on Sunday. This has been flashing for so long. Like, it's been on the way for quite some time here. That VWAP is, cranking to the downside. Now, again, overall, before I get into the bearish scenario here, guys, if you're new, just understand I am not bearish on Bitcoin forever. I am only bearish, within the local price action here for a potential bigger pullback. But this does not mean I think Bitcoin is going to zero. So just to get that out of the way, I am in a short. We'll talk about that in a minute as well. And I am still in my scalp long, somehow still alive on that long position. It's been at break even for like 2 days now. But we do have the weekly red dot. That is a generally bearish signal. We also have the higher highs on our price action. Well, that was a pretty garbage line. Higher highs on our price action, lower highs on the momentum waves. This would give us a technical bearish divergence as well, which is kind of bearish puzzle piece number one. If that does confirm, it could call for a little bit more of a spill to the downside here. Again, not to zero. There is a more bearish scenario, guys. We've talked about this before to come into the 80s. I'm not going to cover that today just because we're pretty far away and we have a lot of support underneath us that we could bounce off of. So I'm not going to cover that. But just understand, guys, like if you're here for like the long-term moves, is the bull market over? I don't personally fall in that camp. Sure, I could be wrong. But we've been right many times in the past, so I'm not in that camp that this is necessarily the top of the cycle. I know we have a lot of geopolitical stuff going on, which could potentially, I would say if we are going to get that bigger breakdown to some of like the deeper levels, and if I just pull up some of these technical levels here, guys, you can see we talked about this the other day. If we pull up some of our naked points of controls, some of these higher time frame levels, you guys can see we have a lot of support down here around like between $85 and about $82,000. This is also the 786 Fibonacci retracement when pulled from the absolute low to the absolute high. Bitcoin has gotten a massive rise to the upside, so it would not even really be out of the question to get a little bit more of a healthy pullback. But that line in the sand is sitting down here at that 786, right? We do have a massive confluence here. 3 daily MPOCs, a weekly MPOC. We have tons and tons of support down here, so it's not really until we start losing that zone where I start to think, hey, maybe we're going to come and break these lows, and it could be a little bit more bearish. But even to get down there, guys, I do think, we are in an environment where we could potentially see some kind of black swan events, some kind of super bearish news. I do think we'd have to see the geopolitical situation get pretty bad to get down there. But, that level is there just to, keep in mind, right? We're pretty far away from like a super critical level of support. So just keep that in mind. But with that being said, weekly bearish divergence can continue this pullback potentially. Taking a look at the 6-day, we do have the 6-day red dot printing as well. And then if we pull up here to the daily, guys, you can even see like the daily money flow also starting to trend to the downside. This isn't anything to really worry about at this point, in my opinion. There's still plenty of chances for this money flow to fight back to the upside. But, generally it is starting to trend out here. And the reason I bring that up is because if we take a look at the 16-hour, you can see we are very, very, very close to getting that crossover into the red. The 12 hours already starting to play around with that crossover into the red, which in general, guys, the money flow we know always indicates the longer term trend. And, not that this green dot can't give us a bounce, but I am for right now, unless we get some kind of a scam pump to the upside and we really start cooking. And I'm going to go over a scenario where maybe we come up before getting a bigger correction to come in. We'll have to assess that situation very carefully as we approach the all-time high, because obviously there will be a chance of like kind of just getting the short squeeze higher. But, for the most part here, we are rejecting key levels here, putting in potential lower highs for lower lows, right? So if we do get a bounce locally here, I'm going to talk about some of those lower time frames down here and the key level I'll be looking at if we do get some of these green dots to print on the higher time frames, because when you look at this, obviously the money flow is coming out, indicating the trend is more likely to continue to the downside. However, with that green dot, you have to anticipate little ebbs and flows on the chart, right? But overall, this money flow would call potentially for a continuation to the downside, and obviously I will cover those key levels of support. Now, 16-hour money flow crossing into the red. 12-hour money flow crossing into the red, 16-hour getting very close, and then you have the daily money flow starting to leak out here a little bit again. This isn't as concerning, but when you see those 12 and 16-hour money flow crossovers, typically that will bleed into the higher time frames. And if you just come back in time here, guys, you could see, right, like these, we have massive green money flow waves. You cross over into the red, you start to get the bleed out here. Again, am I expecting something as drastic as this? Not necessarily at this moment, but, just in general, money flow indicates the overall trend, and we have to stick by that, right? Could you fake out, get this money flow to yeet back into the green? Sure, but you are going against the TA, which, I was actually looking at this a little earlier today. There are times where you can get those little fake outs on money flow, right? Like back here as we were trending around. I'll even pull the little volume profile that we had here, right? We were kind of consolidating sideways for a while. We lost the range. We came back down. We reclaimed it. We came to the high. And then you see that 12-hour money flow, was about to cross over into the red, and then you just kind of scoot back up. However, is this possible? We do have the 2-day money flow crossover into the green, which is still healthily in the green here, I would say. I wouldn't say healthily, but, it is still, kind of just hovering up here. You have the 2-day green dot with the monthly green dot on our Heikinashi candles here. You can see that is still printing here. So, this is a higher time frame bullish signal. Does not mean you can't get the bigger pullback. And this is part of the reason why I'm not like super just like, oh, we're going to zero, right? Because this could potentially wind up playing out over the long term, and we might just have a little bit more working out here to do. Maybe we just bing bong sideways, and I'll go into those scenarios right now. But overall, right now, when we look at the more like tangible time frames here, 12-hour money flow, we'll see if this crosses over into the red. But short term, I want to talk about these local time frames and what I would kind of expect these, the local price action to look like in the most bearish case, and then also in a case where maybe we get another push to the upside. But before we do that, let me check it out in chat real quick. Let's see. Let's see. Bada boom, bada bing. Let's see. Shout out to the King Bitcoin, said, stop hoping, start looking. The chart is screaming top, the exact signal that nuked portfolios in 2021. Yes, this is something that we've looked at many a times. I don't even know if I'm really going to bring this up because we've covered it so much. Obviously, the structure here, guys, is very, very similar. I did this yesterday. I think I've done this on like every stream in the past couple weeks, but you guys can see here, right? You do have very, very similar structure here where you have like the double top, you have the sweep of liquidity of the high, the weekly bearish divergence. Is this a bearish sign? Yes, absolutely. Does that mean that this has to play out exactly like it did in 2021? Just because this structure was the top in 2021 doesn't mean that it has to call for the bear market right now, right? It could just be a top structure, right, for a pullback. It could be the top of the bull market, and could it go to zero? Maybe. I mean, that is definitely not impossible, but, again, you do just have to be careful. If you think the top is here, right, I mean, sell your bags. I would never tell anybody to do just like listen to what I say, right? This is not financial advice. I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. We're right more than we're wrong, but, it is there, right? Bearish divergence on the weekly, sweep of the highs. But again, this also looked very similar. People were saying this back here, and this was like the last time we were looking at this, like more locally, right? This structure looked exactly the same as well, and people were like, "Oh my God, are you worried about that?" Like this is this is exactly what we saw in 2021. This is the top of the bull market. I did not fall in that camp because of where we are in the cycle, right? Where we were in the cycle back here. No rate cuts have come in yet, which is typically what causes the last blow-off phase of the bull market, where you see alt season happen. And if we do wind up getting the rate cuts in September, it would be kind of right on time, right? But back here, we did not think it was at the top of the bull market based off of where we were in the cycle. We came down. We looked for the higher low for the new all-time high. We ended up getting that, right, with very, very clear technical signals at the low here into our 786 Fibonacci retracement. So, not all the time are these top signals, necessarily bull market top signals, but they could just be local top signals as well. And with that being said, could it just play out exactly like it did in 2021? Maybe. But I just think there is a bit of a risk here. If you were going to get some kind of a black swan event, right, and we do nuke down, until we break about $85,000 to $82,000, right, there is a chance, once those rate cuts come in, you could just see that big scam to the upside for that final phase of the bull market. So I wouldn't say it's impossible, right? It's definitely looking very similar, but, it looked exactly here, and everyone was saying the same thing here too. Not that it has to not play out because it didn't play out here, but, these just because it was the top of 2021 bull market, it's just a topping structure, right? Doesn't necessarily mean that like this is all-time high tops, right? So yeah, hopefully that makes sense. But it is definitely looking like eerily similar. So yeah, that's my 2 cents on that kind of macro structure. I cover that every day, so I'm just going to drop that there. But if we continue on here to the lower time frames, guys, obviously we covered the 12, 16, and daily, kind of looking like money flow is going to continue to the downside. And again, like I said, shorter term here, it is a little bit harder to call, but I will pull up our local volume profile here. And so this is kind of what I'm looking at, right? Obviously, Bitcoin is in the same exact spot for the last 2 streams. Is this somewhat of a bear pennant? Maybe you can mark this off as some kind of a bearish pennant, right? Not that I trade patterns like this. I am short from the tippy top here of the previous high. I do not short. Maybe if I wasn't in a short, I'd be looking at this, but I don't really trade patterns. But oftentimes this does look like this does play out as bearish consolidation for another drop to the downside. And on top of that, you have the 12-hour money flow crossover into the red. The 4-hour money flow is still continuing into the red here, right? We also, even on some of the altcoins, we were seeing some 4-hour bull divs. But, at that point, it's like money flow is going against you. You would have to look for lackluster highs for another drop to the downside. So that kind of is kind of the same sentiment there, to be quite honest with you. But when we look at this, right, money flow crossover into the red, I'll say this, right? I do think just even based off the volume profile, deviation above the high, this is where I'm holding my short position from. I'll even see if I can pull that up here. Am I logged in? There we go, right? So still holding the short position here over on Femex, up about a little over $3,000. The scalp long position still just sitting at break even. It's just bing-bonging around here. I'll be honest, I would not be surprised if this gets stopped out, but I'm prepared. Obviously, if it gets stopped out here, it'll be a small loss for the short to continue to pay me out. But I'm nicely hedged here, being short from all the way up here. But as we look at this, guys, the overall fill of the volume profile, deviate above the high, get accepted back into the range. Next likely place, as we looked for on the live stream, POC of the range. Here we are. Now, if we are unable to hold this point of control, right, the only reason I have this scalp long position from the POC is really because last time we came down here, we front ran our key level of support, right? So I am going to hold this scalp long position. Again, it is pretty low risk for me. If we break down, I'll stop out here. The short will continue to pay us out. I would prefer a move down here to the value area low to get that full fill of the volume profile as we do typically expect. Flip that POC, go to the high, deviate above the high, back in, back to the POC, back to low, back to the high, deviation, so on and so forth. I would really, really like that full rotation of the volume profile here. And that's the next key level of support. This is what we looked at yesterday, obviously. Daily value area low, and this is also the 786 when pulled from this low to the high. Let me grab that up on the chart here. Bada boom. So 786 value area low daily. This does sit between about $102,639 and $101,487. And as we looked at, there we go. Scalp long now $50 in profit. Look at that things, and now it's up $11, and it's about to go back in the red. And now it's negative $5. Unbelievable. But if we take a look here at the heat maps, guys, obviously, I actually want to take a look at 2 different time frames with you guys. If we take a look at the lower time frames, come on, there we go. Right, you guys can see here. Liquidity sitting below this low, right? So locally, we do have a lot of liquidity sitting down here in that support zone that I just showed here at the value area low daily. So this is really the next area that I'm going to be looking for new long positions, right? We will be looking for that in the premium Discord if we get the confirmations. And I want to talk about these kind of scenarios that I'd be looking for the full fill of the range, right? We lose the POC. Obviously, the expectation would be to come down to that value area low. Maybe we sweep out some of that liquidity and get a bounce. Now, my question to myself right now is, are we going to get the bounce from the POC, or are we going to go down first before we get another retracement? So I'm just going to give you the 2 scenarios. If we get the drop to the downside, beautiful. Short continues to pay us out. If we get the confirmations here and we get the bigger bounce to the upside, again, based off money flow, guys, I am still going to be looking for lower highs and lower lows to come in until that money flow cleans up on the 12-hour, the 16-hour. Until we see clear fake outs on those time frames, you have to anticipate that the trend is going to continue down. Could the money flow be wrong? Sure. Is it wrong often? Not really, right? More often than not, it is definitely correct. So, if we do get the push down here and we get a bounce, it's going to be hard for me to kind of front run where those fib levels are going to be. But let's just say we come down here near the daily. I'll just kind of estimate that it's going to be down there, right? At that point, if we come down first, right, if we just lose this POC and get the drop down first, that is where we're just going to kind of update this Fibonacci retracement. And then at that point, if we do get a bounce, you're going to have to be very careful around the golden pocket 786 for a lower high and a lower low to come in. You can look at the full retracement, or you can just look at your local retracement, which would be something like this, confluent with the POC. But the general idea here, guys, is until that money flow cleans up, right, lower highs and lower lows are going to be what I'm expecting, right? If it changes, right, we get new information on the chart every single day. If it changes, then we'll look for higher prices. If we come up from the POC here, let's just say we get some kind of a scam pump to the upside, golden pocket, value area low. We also have the daily sitting here at about $106,756. And then the 786 value area high sits at about 107.8. So if we get the move up first, this would be the area to look for the lower high, giving us the continuation of this overall downtrend, right, and then putting in a new low. That's what I would look for on the bounce from the POC. However, if the volume profile just gives us that clean play out where we lose the POC, I would prefer to get that drop down to the value area low first, right? It's really hard, right? Like these time frames are very chopped up. Money flow is in the red, it's in the green, it's in the red. So again, I'm just sitting in both my positions in a pretty cushy spot, right? Because even if we do come up here to put a lower high in, let's say we do get the continuation of the overall downtrend, I can make some money on that long position and then just still be short from the high here, protecting my position above that value area high for that continuation down. So maybe we'll catch a little bit of money on that way up and then let that short continue to pay us out. And if it looks really garbage up here, maybe I'll even add to my position. But those are kind of the two main scenarios. The question is, are we going to get the fill of the range? Are we going to tap the value area low and then come up for a lower high? Or are we going to come up first for the lower high? Those are the two bearish scenarios I'm looking at, right? And I'm already positioned, so today's been kind of like a sit on my hands and just stare at the charts while it goes sideways kind of day. But that's kind of the low time frame situation, right? If and when, right, let's assume whether we get up and put the lower high in and then break down, or we just, wind up just like losing this value area low, obviously our next major level of support is going to be about $100,000 sitting right here with our anchored VWAP all the way from the low here. Pulled from the low of the downtrend here, right? Anchored VWAP, golden pocket. We have a daily MPOC in here sitting between about 100,000 and 98,700, right? So, honorable mention, right? I would probably anticipate something like this, right? Over as long as that money flow continues out on the higher hourly time frames, could we get the bounces? Maybe something like that too. I will be anticipating lower highs and lower lows until proven otherwise, right? And if we lose that value area low, very simply put, same level we've been looking at, 100,000 down to about 98,800, right? If we do not bounce here, guys, this is not only the golden pocket, daily MPOC, anchored VWAP. This is also the Lux Algo daily smart trail, which is typically a very, very, very big level to remain above if you want to continue the aggressive pump to the upside. Once we lose that, in my opinion, that is going to be kind of the nail in the coffin, because at that point, right, the weekly red dot is probably either still printing or potentially even confirmed, right? At that point, you have the weekly bear div confirmed. More downside is going to be expected, right? And that's where we open up the opportunity to come down for that bigger retracement for the long-term move down to about $97,000. Let me take the indicators off the chart here. We'll pull up our macro volume profile, right? At that point, not only are you, breaking down with lower highs, lower lows, you're also losing $100,000 psychological level. You're losing that Lux Algo daily smart trail. At that point, I am going to be looking for that $97,000 POC, which is a little bit of a zone here, guys. We have a lot of support. There's a lot of big key levels down here. Obviously, the POC is going to be the big level at about 97K. But underneath that, we also have the levels down here, daily MPOC at about 94K. And then down here, we have the confluence with the daily MPOC and the value area low. And we are going to use this volume profile as a guide, right? We tried to break in here previously. We front ran support, got the next push to the upside. Now we're trying to get stuck underneath here again. But once you lose 100K, it's like, hey, you are pretty well accepted into this profile, and that $97,000 level is going to be very likely, in my opinion. If not, maybe even a deeper pullback into $94,000. This is the next big level. And if I pull up the macro levels here, you can see this is like a pretty big zone, right? It goes from about 97 all the way down to about 94K. If we don't bounce there, guys, even longing down here, which we could potentially look for long positions, right? But even, at that point, you have to be very careful, right? Because it would be much nicer to bounce off the POC, because if we dip below that POC, you have support, you have confluence here, but you're going to be longing directly into that major resistance level that is the POC of the range, which we know, if rejected, is going to call for that next level at the value area low. So, potentially even a pullback to $91,000 to $90,000 could be in store here. And, this is typically where we're looking for long positions, deviate below the low, get back into the range. I don't know if we're definitely coming down here. I just want you guys to be aware of all these key levels. I'll hide these anchored VWAPs to kind of clean up the chart just a little bit. There's no guarantee that we come down here, but you want to really be aware of these big key levels. So yeah, 97K is going to be the first one once we lose 100K, and then once you lose that MPOC, sure, Could look for longs here, but you just got to be very, very careful because you are getting closer and closer to filling that entire range, which is the overall anticipation. Same thing on the way up. Flip the value area low, POC is next. Get above the POC, value area high is next. So yeah, like long term, like who knows, right? I'm trying to call the low time frame moves and the high time frame moves, which is obviously very difficult. But long term, right? Like regardless of what we do up here, like you wind up breaking down into this range. POC value area low is definitely in the card. So don't forget this large range that we have here could call for the longer term move. I'm not praying. I'm not hoping for this, right? I want Bitcoin to pump as much as anybody else. I swear to God, guys. But when you have money flow coming out on those higher time frames, this is definitely a situation that we can see play out in the more bearish case, right? In the bullish case, hey, maybe we just sweep the, is there an opportunity to get a bounce from, I never want it to be like, I never want people to think that just because we have, bearish market structure here locally, we have the money flow coming out, doesn't mean you have to go down to those massive targets, right? At the end of the day, who knows, right? Maybe we sweep this liquidity down below the low and then we take off. But right now, that's not what money flow is pointing to. Money flow is much more pointing towards a lower high situation for more downside. So that's what I'm looking at, right? Key level of resistance here, if we bounce from the POC, is going to be between about 106.8 and 107.8. This is what we looked at yesterday. Once you start cracking out of that area, maybe you can see another scam to near the all-time highs. And the reason I say that, guys, is because if we pull up our liquidation heat map, I'm going to pull up the monthly time frame here. This is kind of what I wanted to talk about. If we just decide to scam to the upside here, there is a very, very significant amount of liquidity sitting up there above these highs, right? Most of it sits between the previous high at about 111K, all the way up to about 111, almost 112K. Then it starts to fall off a little bit. Technically, the end of this like significant zone comes up to a new all-time high. So it's just important to understand, right? Like I'm kind of on a sit on my hands and wait, right? If we do wind up scamming up, again, money flow points more towards that, but if we start breaking out here, right, we might be able to get sucked up towards that liquidity to sweep out some of those licks, right? And then at that point, right, if we do get a push into this upper liquidity, right, you have to identify, could you get another short set up here potentially? But you do have to be careful because when you get these short positions to get stopped out, there's two major things that can happen, right? This is typically where you'll see something like a swing failure pattern happen where you sweep the highs, get back down below that high, and then you get a bigger dump to the downside, right? That's option number one. I will be looking for shorts up there, but you have to be very, very careful like anytime you short an all-time high. Even up here in the premium Discord, we shorted 112K, we shorted down here. We also, and then shorted right up here. So, you do have to be careful with the all-time high shorts, right? Because again, like if you don't get the SFP, you could just get that short squeeze to the upside. And I would say that is going to have to come by shock, right? This is at the point where you see the 12 and 16 hour money flow just fake out back into the green. I will say it one more time. Money flow does not point towards that, but because of the liquidity up there, the indicators can only give you so much, right? The indicators, are not why price moves, right? It just analyzes previous price action to try to give you a high probability indication of what will happen in the future. But if you just start getting sucked up with that liquidity, right, that is obviously going to be where you would see the 16-hour money flow just kind of, scoop back up into the green. So I would say that's probably the lower probability situation, definitely not impossible, because again, money flow is more pointing towards something like this or something like that, right? So yeah, especially with that weekly red dot. If we get that scam to the upside, the weekly red dot would disappear again, very likely, which would be insane, right? This thing was printing, it disappeared, it was printing, it disappeared, now it's printing again. I think it's like about time this thing confirms. So yeah, that's pretty much what I'm looking at. Don't forget, guys, even on a higher time frame, that's dominance. Let me pull up Bitcoin here. Even in the past, we've been looking at the potential lower high coming in at this Fibonacci 786 golden pocket retracement. High, low, lower high. We rejected that 786 on the weekly, closing our weekly candle down below, which again, there's things pointing to more downside. I have to be very clear about that. So if we do pump, it's got to be, it's going to likely come by surprise and just, scam the indicators, and those will just flip back to the upside. But I have to say, money flow's got me thinking, any pump to the upside still has to be looked at as a lackluster pump for lower highs and lower lows. Let's see. Shout out to Chris, and I appreciate what you do, Frankie. Shout out to Chris. Thank you very much, bro. I appreciate that. And we're here every single weekday at 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Smash that like button if you guys appreciate these free updates or free live streams every single weekday. Let's see. Vinny. Shout out to Vinny, bro. He says, Frankie, let's get toys pump. Then let's get toys pump? I don't know what that was supposed to say, but shout out to Vinny. Says, Frankie, let's get a pump and then get in that dump. Yeah, shout out to Vincent. I mean, at the end of the day, guys, The beautiful thing about being a trader is we are not a slave to pumping markets to make money, right? We're up $3,000 on this little dump to the downside, which wasn't, to be honest with you, like even that significant. A little 5% move, make a few grand, no big deal. But we will see what happens here. Even like, again, like even the 4-hour money flow being in the red is, it's not just the 12 and 16 hour, right? The 4-hour money flow, it's like, hey, oh my God, we got a green dot coming in on the 4-hour. It's like, well, hey, money flow is indicating the overall trend. That green dot could give you a pump, but I would still be looking for lower highs and lower lows. You need this money flow to just shoot back into the green. Plain and simple. So there you go. Let's see. Shout out to Tyler Durden said, wait, these are free? What have I been paying for? Tony D, let's get that Tyler guy out of here. Tyler, actually, we didn't get your payment, bro. We didn't get your payment today. Tony, contact Tyler and see if he can send that payment. Shout out to Tyler Durden. I'm just kidding. Let's see. Let's get that pump, then get that dump. Shout out to Vincent. Let's go, baby. Let's go. Getting swallowed up by Liquid Diddy. Shout out to Jacob, Liquid Diddy, also known as Baby Oil. Shout out to Base Bailey. Says, hey, Frankie, I thought it was interesting. Hyperliquid shows 5 trillion liquidations around 112 and 113K for BTC on Model 2 for CoinGlass. Went on the monthly. Shout out to Base Bailey. I'm not 100% sure. I'm not sure if that was a question, but shout out to Base Bailey. 112 and 113K. I mean, that is pretty much the same kind of area where we have this, right? Like pretty much, almost 112 all the way leading up to about 113K. So it is right in that same exact area, which is common, right? Like anytime you have any kind of equal highs like this, it does build liquidity above. And although we do like to call these moves, right? Sometimes that liquidity just acts as a magnet. But again, like you bring up those lower time frames, we are much closer to the local liquidity. And in my opinion, right, there's no guarantee just because you have liquidity sitting in one area that you have to go take it. But more often than not, these do act as not only like magnets for price, but also, you come down, sweep this liquidity. It kind of acts as support and resistance in a way, right? Because if you come and liquidate the longs first, right, it would make sense for this to happen, in my opinion, right? Because you have liquidity below and then, wreck the longs, right? Push it back up and then try to take out the shorts and then put the lower high and come back down. And then again, that honorable mention situation where maybe we get above here and then we go for that big area of liquidity. But again, I would say that's the lower probability scenario, at least as of right now. Until we start breaking out here, then we can entertain that idea. Let's see. Shout out to RS Miller. Said, okay, gotta run. See y'all later. Shout out to RS Miller. Have a great night, bro. Thank you for stopping by. We appreciate you. Let's see. I don't understand why it says 5 trillion. Yeah, shout out to Base Bailey. That's interesting. I'm not 100% sure why either. When I don't know the answer, I will tell you guys. Let's see. Just make sure to miss anything here. Horses have empathy. The horse-sized duck would use that against them. 100% the horse-sized duck. Shout out to Wick589, and that was in reference to the poll here, which has just become chaotic because the polls have to be the same every day because Bitcoin's not moving. It's unbelievable. I sent 2 Bitcoin this morning. Oh, shout out to Tyler Durden. Tony, check the account. Make sure Tyler's Bitcoin got there. Because if not, we gotta ban him, right? You can't get the free live stream. I'm just kidding. Shout out to Tyler Durden. We appreciate you so much, bro. Let's see. Shout out to Slick. Says, Frankie, my alts are crying out loud. Regrets of not buying more Bitcoin at the beginning. Shout out to Slick. This is such a common experience, bro. Don't feel too bad about it. Like, oftentimes, I think a lot of people got caught off sides here, right? Like, and I always say this, right? Like, nobody wants to pay attention in the bear market. Obviously, we were here through the bear market, buying this, bear market low, essentially. Weekly money flow crossover into the red was what we were looking at. Dollar cost averaging in. Obviously, has paid out greatly, right? Now, a lot of people have come back into crypto after the big pump happened on Bitcoin. So they're looking at this. They're like, all right, too late to come into Bitcoin. I should have been buying down here. And so what do? They start accumulating altcoins. But I think that's where a lot of the pain is coming, right? Because the patience is key with the altcoins. Because like I said yesterday and many live streams before, alt season typically comes towards the end of the cycle, right? Now, is it possible to not have an alt season this cycle? I know that's what a lot of people are thinking. Is it possible? Yes. Is it likely? I would say it's a little less likely just because we have not gotten rate cuts. Like even if things get bearish, guys, and I always try to say this, I set it up here before we got the big dump to the downside. People are getting really bearish. Oh my God, this is the top of the bull market. Could they end up being right? Maybe. But at the end of the day, right, if you feel bearish up here, just understand like what that's going to feel like if you get a drop down into the 90s and even the 80s, right? That's really going to be like, I give up. right? And that's like typically the worst time to stop paying attention, right? Down here, oh my God, bear market, right? It's like, I don't know, guys. We got the bullish divergences. We got the money flow coming up. We're putting in a low at key support. Not a high probability of the bear market being here, and we get the new all-time high that we were looking for. So it is just patience, right? Especially all the people that bought up here. Massive pain for people who bought late. They hate it. A lot of them probably sold their bag at the bottom only to see it pump again. So it would just make a lot of sense. Like, yeah, I just would not be surprised if we get that bigger pullback, guys. Let's see. Yeah, shout out to the king of Bitcoin. Greed blinds you. The charts do not. I would agree with that 100%. Let's see. And greed comes in both ways, right? Greed comes with bullish targets and bearish targets, right? Like in the bear market, it's the same thing on the way down, right? Like all the bears are getting greedy for lower prices, right? They're hoping for 8K, right? Everyone's like, oh my God, we're going to 10K, we're going to 8K. Again, like I say, at any moment, could they be right? Sure. But when you have weekly confirmations, like a massive bullish divergence at the low, right? With timing that with the timing of the cycle, it's like, hey, that could be the low, right? And then you start to see the money flow start to come up. Typically, when you get that weekly money flow crossover into the green, the low is usually in, and then it's off into the bull market, right? So, and that's why I always say if we do launch up into 137K, right, 120K, 150K, whatever the upper targets are going to end up being, that's where everybody is thinking it's never going back down. And I always warn the Mafia against this, guys. Do not fall for that trap. These people come around every single cycle. They thought 100K was coming in here. We didn't even get close. They think 200K is coming in here. Are we going to get it? I hope so. But, if we get those bearish confirmations, right, if the charts start to look like trash up at our bigger targets that we have here around, where's it at? Am I tripping? Bada boom, right? My next bigger target, right? If we do go in to put massive new all-time highs in, even if it is after a pullback, right? Again, if you're feeling bearish, just imagine, like, you could still pull back to like 96, 97K, even potentially lower, and still eventually get that bigger move to the upside. If we get up here, guys, this is where people start to call for 250K, 500K, $1 million, golden bull run. It's never going back down, and all those people usually get wrecked. It happens every single cycle. It's my third crypto cycle, and my 9th year of staring at the Bitcoin charts almost every single day, almost all day. So, just be aware of that. It's typically when you feel like an idiot selling, it is usually the top. Anytime I've sold a perfect top, I felt like a moron. I'm like, oh my God, this thing's gonna keep ripping, but I'm gonna take the chance. And typically I look back and I'm like, thank God I sold. Same thing with the bottom, right? I did not feel smart buying down here. I was dollar cost averaging in. I felt pretty good, but at the end of the day, I'm sitting here. That creeping uncertainty is like still in your brain, right? It's like, well, hey, this thing could continue to nuke down. It's like, man, like it doesn't feel good buying fear like this, right? But the best trades and the best accumulations and the best selling the top situations happen. They're typically the hardest decisions, right? Like very difficult. And that's why I dollar cost average on the way down, right? Because after we got that first drop to the downside, weekly money flow in the red, dollar cost average, dollar cost average, dollar cost average, dollar cost average, right? If we continue down, you can continue to dollar cost average in, unless there was a sign to think that you were going to zero or something like that. But yeah, that wound up playing out perfectly. So we'll see. Could this be the all-time high forever? Not forever, but like for this cycle, maybe we don't get rate cuts or something like that. I don't know. But it's going to be a difficult situation, right? Because if the rate cuts are going to come in, we're going to put in new all-time highs. Like for me personally, right? Everyone's in a different situation. My average entry is around 21 to 22K, right? 20 to 21K, something like that. So like for me to like panic sell on like a dip down to like 85K is like really doesn't make sense for me, right? But if you buy up here, you're in a bit of a different situation, right? So yeah, you get a bigger pullback, maybe a black swan, something like that. You get a big pullback, everyone thinks it's over, right? And then they start cutting rates, and then that could be where you see those new all-time highs, right? Like if we were up here seeing that same exact top structure we saw in 2021, this is uncanny, right? We talk about this all the time. If we had already gotten rate cuts and like all the conditions that have been met for previous bull runs have been met, I'd be a little bit more bearish on this weekly bear div and this top structure, right? But again, not every top structure that happens at an all-time high means that, like, not every weekly bearish divergence is going to be the top of the bull market, right? Very likely it will be. Bull div on the weekly was the bottom, but it doesn't mean that every bull div on the weekly is going to be, new bull market, right? So yeah, keep that in mind. Let's see. Yeah, September rate cuts is my guess. I think that's like the highest probability, at least as of right now. We'll see. Yeah, Jerome ain't doing jack. I'm just going to start betting on whether he says good afternoon. But yeah, I mean, listen, if that happens, selling on the next panic, if we get another panic dump, selling on that dump with potential incoming rate cuts is just very, very dangerous in my opinion. But again, I am in a bit of a cushy position. Like if you've been in here since the beginning of my channel, not the beginning, but when we were down here at that bear market, right? If your entry price is down here, these dips are a lot more palatable, right? Everyone freaks out here, and like I think sometimes people are like, why is this guy not bugging out? And honestly, part of that reason is like my entry's not at $100,000, right? My entry is all the way down here. So it's like these are just little dips, right? And when we look at this on the 2-day time frame, I've covered this chart many times now. This is these 2-day money flow crossovers into the red are like the bull market by the dip scenarios, right? Like I don't know if you would consider this like really the bull market, but as we got the bottom to come in, right, we get our first significant pop to the upside of 100%, and then you get a 21% correction. It's like this is where everyone's again screaming for $2,000, right? But if you don't understand where you are in the cycle, if you don't understand how to read the charts, right, you might be seeing this as much more bearish than it actually was, right? And then you dip below the bull market support band, right? You get the money flow crossover into the red. That's a good bull market by the dip scenario. Money flow crosses back into the green with your monthly green dot. Massive leg to the upside. Oh my God, back below the bull market support band. It's all over. This is the top. Is this the bear market? I always say this. I've never gotten more questions about if this is the bear market than back here in August and back here in April. And both answers to that question were always like, I don't think so. The chances of us putting in an all-time high, 6% above the previous all-time high for a Bitcoin cycle will be absolutely uncalled for, right? What happens? You dip below the bull market support band, money flows in the red on the 2-day. Once that money flow crosses back into the green with the monthly green dot, massive leg up, right? Consolidation, big spook in the market, back down below the bull market support band, money flow on the 2 days in the red. Now we are back above the bull market support band, money flow is crossing into the green, and we also have that monthly green dot on Heikinashi candles printing right now, which again was the sign that we needed for the big leg up. And both of those occurred on those dips below the bull market support band. So it would make sense, even if there is more bearish news here, right? Something like that, you could still launch off into that new all-time high. And maybe we don't, right? Maybe we go into the bear market. That's just not the camp that I fall in, right? This is never financial advice. If you think it's the bear market, please, for the love of God, sell your bags, right? Because even if I lose my money, right, I hope that the mafia makes the right decision, right? But yeah, that's just my 2 cents and kind of why, this is obviously a very clear bullish trend. So we'll see what happens. Also, bearish news can get pretty crazy too, so be careful. All right, let's see. Bada boom, bada bing. Hey, Frankie, how do you think altcoins will react to a potential down move for BTC, which seems probable? And what's your opinion on the dominance? Shout out to Frederick. I'll take a look at the dominance real quick for you guys. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because it's the same as yesterday. Right, we're just still playing around with that 786. Really what you want to see here, in my opinion, is a weekly candle close below that 786. Reason being is because if we're going to, put the high, the low, the lower high, and a lower low, targeting the value area low of this range, sitting at about 61%, this is the level that you want to reject. If you hold on top of this 786, it opens the door to come up to that massive higher time frame 786 at 66.21%, which would be very bearish for altcoins, right? So if Bitcoin dumps, right, I would say, what is it? There's like a 2 to 3x multiplier on the moves, give or take, right? Obviously, it's not going to be exact. So, if Bitcoin gets a correction, I would expect altcoins to react at least 2 to 3 times that. So, yeah, it's definitely Bitcoin dumps, like the altcoins are going to follow, right? And it's probably going to get bloody. So, if like Bitcoin essentially breaks down its low here, if I pull up the daily, right? If we are going to, put in the lower high and break these lows down here at about 100K, looking at the alt charts, I'll just pull up Cardano, for example, right? Like that is definitely breaking this low here on Cardano at around 50 cents, right? Potentially targeting the daily MPLC at 43 cents, right? So, lower high, break structure to the downside, it could be pretty bearish, right? At least for the time being, right? Hopefully Bitcoin gets the bigger bounce and the altcoins can follow suit. Yeah, shout out to Crypto Owl says, alts bleed when BTC has a slip. Yes, absolutely, 100%. Yeah, shout out to Ryan said, if everybody thinks we're going down, guess what? Straight up we go. Could be the case, right? That does oftentimes happen. But again, it's not just, blind, it is not just blind. I don't know. I would argue like a lot of people probably think, I don't really know the general sentiment outside of our chat here, but Yeah, I don't know. What would you guys say? Generally, out there in the crypto space, are more people just like blindly bullish or blindly bearish? That is something to keep in mind, right? Usually the masses get it wrong. But yeah, I would say definitely validity in that statement. Can't argue that. But yeah, that's why I say, I mean, listen, even if it looks bearish, right, I would still say, like, again, lower probability situation would be coming up to the highs, but lower probability does not mean impossible, right? I've been looking at these charts long enough to understand that even sometimes when the charts are calling for more downside, sometimes you just scam on up there. But yeah, again, trading is all a game of probabilities. The charts are all probabilities. You're never going to see a signal that's going to guarantee a top or guarantee a bottom. It's just, when you see a pattern, or not even a pattern, I don't even want to say a pattern, right? Because I don't really trade patterns, but like a bullish divergence, right? Like the deviation between your price action and your momentum. When you see those discrepancies, that's what calls for the reaction, right? Or the reversal. So, most of the time when you see that stuff, it does play out, but it's not 100% of the time. So yeah, we'll see. Maybe we get bullish news, right? Maybe everyone's expecting like scary Black Swan WW3 news, right? And then we get like bullish news, and then it just scams up. Definitely in the cards, but I would say the charts overall, the higher probability move would be to continue the move down. I mean, even if you do scam up here into that liquidity, still an opportunity to come back down. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. And I'll keep you guys updated here on the live streams and the market updates. Let's see. Most people are bearish. Okay, shout out to Friedrich. That's good to know. Let's see. Bada boom. Most people are bearish. Okay. Shout out to James. Said, I can't believe we got all this analysis for free. Thank you, Frankie. Hey, we're here every single weekday, baby. We're dishing out the free sauce. But the main goal with my channel, guys, is always going to be dishing out as much possible free value as I possibly can. Let's see. It's never going to be the same. You're looking at the new age stock market. Shout out to Kirk. I mean, the markets will evolve over time. That is for dang sure. Shout out to Crypto Billy in the chat. What is going on, bro? Welcome in. He says, Mafia is bigger than trading. All good things are born in here. Thanks to Frankie Candle. Shout out to Crypto Billy. Let's go, baby. I appreciate you, Billy. Thank you for being here. Show Crypto Billy some love in the chat. Let's see here. Pennywise says, how can you not be clowning? How can you not be clowning always when in the end we all float? Hey, shout out to Pennywise, everybody's favorite clown. Drop the balloons in the chat for Pennywise. Great stream. Shout out to the King of Bitcoin. I appreciate you, bro. I appreciate you, man. Thank you for being here. You're a big help. Thank you, man. Yeah, shout out to Friedrich. And, again, I guys, on this channel, I will never come up here and tell you, and there's a very specific reason for it, right? Like a lot of people, they talk about technical analysis, they talk about trading, and, hopefully coming up here every single day, showing the trades, right? Like showing the trades, showing the analysis. We can't hide when we're wrong, right? Or I should say, I can't hide when I'm wrong, right? Like if we think there's going to be a lower high and a lower low, right? Like, that's just what the charts say. This is not just, like, what I think is going to happen, or I guess it is what I think will happen, but, it's not just what I believe, right? Like, I'm bearish, so we have to come down. Like, if we scoot on up here, guys, what am I going to want to do? Well, I'm already covered with the long if we bounce from here. But, if not, right? Like, at that point, you're not just going to want to be like, just short it, right? If the charts look bullish, you're much better off looking for higher lows, catching a long position and running it to the upside. You have to be able to change that sentiment very quickly, especially if you're a trader, right? But I assume a lot of the mafia out there is probably not, or some of them at least. Probably most of them are into trading. But if you're not into trading, you're just looking for those long-term moves. Understanding the elementary aspects of technical analysis can really, really, really help you out. Just even understanding when you should be buying dips, right? Like another big reason I was not scared on this dump, other than the fact that we were coming into absolutely key support, right? Number two, everybody was bearish, right? Shout out to, I forgot who said it. I think maybe Friedrich said, when everyone's bearish, or someone said we must go up, right? Which is totally true. Everybody's bearish here. Oh my God, is this the bear market? Oh my God, is this the bear market, right? But I only look at this from a binary logical standpoint from the charts, right? If it looked super bearish here, we would look for the move down. And even down here, I just tell you guys what the camp I'm falling in is, right? I say I'm not in the camp of the bear market. I think new all-time highs are coming. We get it, right? I was right in that case. But it's never just, you're an idiot if you think this is the bear market. Down here, I'm like, hey, listen, guys, could it be the bear market? Yeah, but in my experience, right, looking at these charts for 9 years straight, this is not typically where the bear market starts, right? If you're going to look for a bear market, you got to at least wait for a retracement and then look for the bear market to come in. But like even here, it's like we say, like, it is possible for the bear market, but I just don't fall in that camp, right? But I could be wrong, and I'm always upfront about that because nobody is right 100% of the time. If someone's out there telling you you're an idiot if you think the bull market's over, or you're an idiot if you think the bear market is here, anything like that, right? Any super deterministic thing like that, just to me screams inexperience, right? Because if you've been here long enough, you know that there is no 100% call that you could ever make in any market, right? A good trader understands both scenarios and then bets on the higher probability, while at the same time understanding they can be wrong, so they can be prepared if the sentiment shifts and the chart shift. They can get on that right side of the trade and make money whether it goes up or down. And you're never going to get that FOMO bullish, like, again, I think the bull market is going to continue even if we get a bigger pullback, but if you think the top is in, please, for the love of God, I hope you're right, for your case. But I can only give my opinion, and through my experience of doing the TA and doing these live streams for years straight, we just stand on the TA, and more often than not, it does wind up being correct, right? And even a 32% pullback, I think this was like 32%. Yeah, like a 30% pullback in a bull market, like people like, this is a bear market, we're down 20%. And it's like a bearish trend maybe, right? But like, I don't know in what world a 20% pullback calls that the bear market is here, right? Like I always say this, like this would be, they'd be calling the bear market here, calling the bear market here, calling the bear market not there, but any 20% pullback, it's like, oh, well, this was the bear market then. Well, then this was the bear market then. And then this is the bear market, right? And they're just wrong every time. And eventually they'll be right? But just by understanding the charts, like, sentiment is always going to be based off the charts for me. Could I be wrong? Could the charts be wrong? Absolutely. And you can't hide from that. Let's see. Bada boom. Shout out to Curtis Hill in the chat. Curtis is taking over the chat. We got Curtis Neal, Curtis Hill. Kind of rhymes, too, which is pretty interesting. Shout out to Crypto Billy. Said, I need Friday. Let's go. Shout out to Crypto Billy. We're almost there. Let's see. Let me make sure I didn't miss any super chats. I will dive into some altcoins here as well. Shout out to Spiritual Trading. I never shouted you off for this, but thank you for that super chat. I appreciate you, bro. It's just like right off the rip, we get crazy super chats. Shout out to Alt F4. Maybe I should hit that. What is that going to do? Should we try Alt F4? Shout out to you, bro. Thank you for the super chat. Said when everything looks bad. Oh, that's when it runs to the moon. Yeah, shout out to Alt F4. Not the original person who said it, but another person who said it. Shout out to Alt F4. Thank you for that. And Wick589 with the super chat said, all this doom speak is tingling my buy button. Let's go. Shout out to Wick589. And George Ortiz, thank you for the super chat. Said, can you give me analysis on Chainlink? Yes, we can try to take a look at Chainlink for you. I'll take a look at Ethereum. If you guys want to drop some altcoins in the chat, I will. Rob, we're going to give Rob the night off. Rob, you don't have to make an alt list because I am probably going to go a little shorter today. So I'll just take some. I'll take a look at Ethereum. We'll jump through some of the big boys, and then actually let's start with Ethereum. Go into links, some requests, and then I'll check in on the big boys because we check these every single day. Bitcoin getting a little local push to the upside. Long now up 140. Look at that. It's probably going to be back to break even in 5 seconds. But there we go. Proof you can make money whether price goes up or down, even at the same exact time. But anyway, let's continue on here. Take a quick look at Ethereum. And this is, there you go. Here's Ethereum, guys. Let's move on. This is just still in the same spot. Holding key support, guys. If you lose this anchored VWAP, I'm going to be anticipating a potential drop down towards that point of control. 2320 is the level. That's the one to watch, right? If you lose the POC, we can look down to go to the value area low. But again, like, I don't want to spend too much time on this. Like, I don't want to be like super repetitive here. Key level of resistance remains exactly the same as yesterday. If we get that continued green, we had the green dot on the 4 hour yesterday. Bounce to the upside, back down. We got another green dot. If we get the bounce to the upside, this is your biggest key level of resistance to look at locally. This is the golden pocket POC 786 sitting between 2630 and 2586. So if we do continue up here, aggressive lower high could come in there. Within the profile, right, you would anticipate a potential move into the value area high. If we pull, let me pull from this actual swing high. Yeah, no confluence there. So I would say, this golden pocket POC 786 is a big level to watch. We might be able to scam into that value area high as well. But, this thing is just still within this insane volume profile rotation, which is absolutely crazy. Right. So, maybe get the full fill again. But for me, I would just, if you don't get that full fill, right, just be aware that this is key resistance. If you get above it, I would just still treat it as a volume profile. Right. But just be careful because you could put a lower high in here on that Fibonacci retracement to break the lows and come down towards that POC. Key level of support, still the anchored VWAP sitting at the bottom of this blue box, 2450. Other than that, still remains exactly the same here. 4 hour money flow crossing into the red. So again, that the reason I look for a potential lower high is because of money flow here. It is a bit choppy. So, I could scam back up, but that's what I'd be looking at here on Ethereum. Same old, same old. Come on, markets, do something, man. Do something. Let me take a sip of that Aztec and Cactus Moss water. Shout out to Tyler Durden. Thank you for the alt list. I appreciate that. I'm just going to go ahead and pin that in case we do in case nobody spams alts, which is probably not going to happen. But let's see. Tia, yeah, shout out to Kavachi. Shout out to Kavachi. Kabaki? I don't know how to say that. Shout out to you, bro, but I will write Tia down here. But real quick, guys, let's take a look at some other stuff before we jump into the usual suspects here. You know, Solana, like literally at the same exact level POC that we were at yesterday. Lose this, obviously value area low. Sitting down here has much confluence down here between about 130.40 and 124.60. Lose that POC, you could start your journey down to that value area low. Same as yesterday. Okay, so let's jump into Link, Cardano, Tia. Yo, Tony D said, Tyler Durden, he said, no out list, fired. Shout out to Tony D. My job is done. Shout out to Tyler Durden. I'm going to go take a nap. Shout out to Tyler. Hey, catch some Z's for me, bro. All right, let's see. Trade Intuition says, mod spamming? Block him. Kick him out. All right, let's see here. Pineapple, Fuji apple pear, Aztec and cactus moss water, not bad. All right, so let's continue on. I'll take a quick look at Chainlink. I'll be honest, guys. A lot of these are just sitting at the same level with the kind of same sentiment as yesterday. Chainlink still sitting at the now tapped daily / golden pocket. Like I said yesterday, guys, this has already been tapped many times. The more times you knock on the door, in my opinion, the more likely that door is to open, right? In this case, the door is the floor. So, tapped it once, tapped it twice, tapped it 3 times, tapped it 4 times, tapped it 5 times. I don't know. It is an area you can look for a bounce, but I would say you lose this golden pocket, much more likely to go down towards that value area low. This is your last line of defense on Link to get a local bounce. But if you get the breakdown, right, you don't have key support down much further. 1179 all the way down to about 1170. 786 Fibonacci retracement, right? If you're not going to get the bounce off the golden pocket, you could look for it at the value area low 786. You start losing this range, this is probably where Bitcoin is going for 97K, and you could potentially anticipate the break of this low here at about 1014. Support underneath that, I mean, you do have this local volume profile that we can look at over here. I can pull this for you guys really quickly. Bada boom. Yeah, I mean, you could see we came down to that value area low previously, got the bounce. You could use this. If you use the value area low 786 as your support level, you start breaking into that. You're also getting accepted into this lower area of balance, right? So you could use those as local levels to the downside. POC sitting at about, I'll just mark these out. Previous point of control, right? And then you have the previous value area low sitting right here. These would be key levels to look at. It's technically the next support. If you lose this value area low, you'd just be going back into this area of balance. Once you break down out of that, we'll cover those levels another day. But, right now, if you don't bounce off the golden pocket, you still have an opportunity here. Lose this, I'd be looking to come down here between about, $10.60 and $10. And that is for Chainlink. Taking a look at Market Cipher B. Let's take a look here. All right, yeah, money flow in the red, same thing, right? Like money flow in the red. 2-day money flow still in the red. I still think the bigger signal here for the altcoins is going to be that 2-day money flow crossover. This is typically what you see before massive fills of the volume profile. So we just might have a little bit more working out here to do, in my own personal opinion. Let's see. Yeah, shout out to D Knight. Pump soon. 25 years later. Pump soon. Yeah, I mean, I would argue the pump is already. For the altcoins, yeah, maybe. Who knows? We need the rate cuts, right? Without rate cuts, it's going to be very hard for the altcoins to pump for sure. But Bitcoin is this thing's been ripping. So yeah, definitely a Bitcoin focused cycle, which is not uncommon until the last phases where you see the alt season come in with the last blow off top. So we'll see. Anyone else getting Sui vibes right now? Let's take a look at Sui here real quick. Whoops. Come on over to the other template. Let's see. Is this it? This is not it. Whoops. Here we are. All right, so on Sui, back down here, still not much. We can move this fib down just a bit, but other than that, this thing is still just, You're below the anchored VWAP from the low. This is, not only a key level of resistance, but also a potential doorway. If you start flipping this fib zone, get back above the anchored VWAP, that could indicate another move to the upside. But as of right now, right, broke down below the value area low. You're coming into your previous value area high. This line that was already here, it was pointing towards a potential daily bullish divergence, which, I would argue that, yeah, I mean, you do have a daily bull div here potentially looking to form. If you can get that green dot on the daily, sure, bullish divergence can give you that reversal back up, but you do have to be careful for lower highs and lower lows. Why? Simply based off your money flow coming out here, on the daily, right? This would indicate as long as that money flow is in the red, the trend is more likely to continue down. So unless that money flow scoots into the green aggressively, you do still have to look for lackluster bounces for lower highs and lower lows. You have the value area low at $3.08. Golden pocket 786 sitting right here between about 321 and 338. This would be the biggest zone to get above, right? Even if you get into this value area low, it's like, well, hey, are you going to reject the anchored VWAP? 786 golden pocket, and if we do pump up, this anchored VWAP might come confluent with the value area low. So, to be, I would say even value area low up to that 786. If you're looking for a doorway to higher prices, that 786 is really it. Because at that point, you're back in your value area low. But if you long here, you're longing into the golden pocket 786. But once you get above that 786, the POC would be the next target. That 786 sits at about 375. I would say money flow wise, something like this would be higher probability. I'm not saying you have to come down this low, but I'm just saying lower high, lower low to crack these lows here. So yeah, short term green dots can give you the bounce, but overall context is going to be very important here. It's not until we crack above that 786 where I'd look towards that POC. So there you go. That's what I'd be looking at on SUI. 2-day money flow still kind of just, was trying to come up, kind of deviating here a little bit. Just patience on the altcoins. Shout out to Pitbull45 says, I got to tell you right now would be a great time for market makers to send BTC to the moon. We just hit an all-time high on stablecoin market caps. Maybe. It would be, I will say, if you do get that scam pump to the upside, kind of coming out of nowhere going against the trend, get everybody kind of bearish, right? And then just send it up. Not impossible. Shout out to Steve. Says, Frankie, I went to spend some time with my granddaughter because you were only streaming for an hour, and 2 hours later, here you are. Shout out to Steve. Actually, we are literally at a 6:45. We are literally at the 1 hour exact mark here. Shout out to Steve. So I still have chances. And 6:46. We're already going late. Never mind, Steve. You were right. Shout out to you, man. Shout out to your granddaughter as well. All right. So let's continue on here. We'll take a quick look at Tia. Oh, man. Do we want to look at this? Whew. Yeah, in that fib zone. You would hope that you get bounce here. If you do not bounce here, this is getting very hard. Now, listen, do I think T is over forever? Not necessarily, but, again, until we see the bigger pumps on the altcoins, this stuff could just continue to bleed out, especially if Bitcoin continues the bigger pullback. So, $1.87 to $1.62, that was our first fib zone that we were looking at, as we could not look left for new levels because we had no levels underneath here, right? We wound up losing this value area low, pulled all the way back here from November 2023. Once you lost that level, that's kind of where you go into price discovery to the downside, and the only levels you could potentially pull in that case are going to be your Fibonacci extensions. First level sitting here between 184 and 162. I mean, if Bitcoin pulls back, you're going to lose this level for sure, in my opinion, right? If you lose that, your next level would be down here at about $1.36. I do hold some TIA. This would hurt me. It's hurt my feelings a little bit if this does break down. But you're at support here, right? In my opinion, if I were going to look to short this, I'm never going to short after the move down, right? You got to wait for some kind of push to the upside. So you are at support. I mean, if we look at our money flow here, let's see if there's any opportunity for a bounce. Let's check that 4 hour. Yeah, I mean, you do have potential bullish divergences printing on the 4 hour, but look at your money flow. Your money flow is absolutely cruising to the downside here. So I would say, 4 hour bull div printing on a fib level like this, bounce could be likely, but I would be very careful, right? The anticipation here would still be lower highs and lower lows based off money flow. Same exact thing as yesterday, right? The bull divs can push you up, right? But money flow is really what calls for the continuation of the trend. So short-term bounce, maybe. I'd be very careful for the continuation down, though. $1.36 is your next fib level below you. So next big fib level below you. Are we going to see T at $1.36? I hope not, but it is definitely the next big target to the downside. Let's see. Hey, shout out to Smoking Wrench. What is going on, bro? Welcome in. He says, hey, Frankie, how's life treating you? Wish you all the best. Shout out to Smoking Wrench. Life is pretty good. Life is pretty good other than Bitcoin falling asleep today. But yeah, shout out to Smoking Wrench. I hope you're doing well as well, bro. Let's see. All right, let's take a quick look at all right, so we took a look at Tia, Link, took a look at Sui. Let's jump into Cardano really quickly. Shout out to Dave Digital in the chat. Said, can somebody send me a tutor? Maybe a blonde. Shout out to Dave Digital. Tony, we could probably arrange that, right? What kind of tutor are you looking for, Dave? Is it a TA tutor? You're going to have me knocking on your door with a blonde wig on. Yikes. Shout out to Dave Digital. Shout out to Amal comes in. Shout out to Dave says Amal comes with his own alt list. I like it. He's got Doge, Arrow, Grass, Ondo, and RDNA. Maybe we'll take a look at a couple of those as well. All right, let's continue on. Dave Digital move for sure. Shout out to Crypto Billy. All right, let's see. Whoops. I just okay, guys, please hold. Please hold. Please hold. I lost the live stream. I lost the chat. Oh my god, I feel lost. No way. I just pulled up like the main page on the browser, and there's a news article that shows Zelensky. And I'm not gonna lie, guys, it low-key looked like one of my thumbnail pictures, and I was like, why am I in the news? That is wild. Good lord. Okay. Anyway, let me see if I can get chat back up here. All right, it's broken. It's broken, guys. I'm lost. And TradingView is frozen. Chat leaves. And we just have total freeze here. Totally frozen. Why does this happen to me? Okay. I have some movement. Oh, no. Oh, no. That was a scary beeping sound. I don't know if you guys heard that. That was like system error beeping. But we're live again. All right, cool. We're live again. That was pretty wild. I think I just dodged a blue screen there somehow. But anyway, let's continue on here. Taking a look at Cardano. Let's take a quick look at ADA. And here we are. Okay, so let's take a look here. Let's take this golden pocket off the chart. It's invalidated at this point. Losing value area low. Yeah, just pushing deeper into this zone, which, again, not uncalled for, right? Or not unexpected, right? Yesterday, what was yesterday? The 18th, right? So, yeah, yesterday we had that 4-hour bull div, right? Lower lows, higher. Technically, you had, like, equal lows here. But, again, lackluster bounce. You know, could you put in a little bounce here off this 4-hour green dot? It's already confirmed, man. I don't know. Money flow's coming down, guys. I got to say, right? Like, money flow's going to indicate the overall trend. These green dots and red dots have been really wonky. Maybe we chop around. Maybe get a little bounce to the upside. We have come down to the 786 since yesterday, so lose that 786. Your last line of defense here on a Cardano is going to be 56 cents at the daily MPOC. So maybe you play around in this zone a little bit more, but I don't know. Like, even if this was like a clean bullish divergence on the 4-hour, like, which it's really not, I would still be looking for lackluster bounces. But, you know, maybe you hang out here, you put in some new bull divs, and then money flow starts to curve up. Then you can maybe look for a bounce from this zone. But until then, this list looks pretty choppy in my opinion. You're still within your support zone. Lose the daily MPOC. That's where I'm looking to take the low. And again, that's just in the case of Bitcoin, taking out the lows coming into the bigger retracement levels, right? Or bigger support zones down below, right? If we get that pull back to 97K, right, the alts are probably going to break their lows as well. So, you know, we'll see. If Bitcoin holds up and we get some kind of scam pump to the upside, maybe we can just, you know, yeet on out. But I don't know. I'd be careful here. I'd be careful. So, yeah, 56 cents. 0.568 is the next key level below. That's your last line of defense, in my opinion, right? This is the 786 daily MPOC confluence. If we don't bounce from the 786, you're hoping that the zone holds. You reclaim the 786 to go up. If not, could be looking at new lows. Could be looking at new lows, guys. It's just the charts. Don't shoot the messenger. Don't shoot the messenger. I'm just talking to TradingView. TradingView's tell me what to say, guys. Chop like BTC. Shout out to Rap Look. Yeah, totally. Let's see. Shout out to Matt Ford. Said, hey, Frankie, thank you for the free TA. Can we take a look at Arrow? Yeah, we'll take a look at Arrow in a sec. Stop breaking stuff, Frankie. Yeah, I am kryptonite for any kind of electronic. I'll tell you that much. Tony D gets like a fire PC build, and it's just like, I call him the next day. I'm like, it blue screened. He's like, dude, what did you do? I'm like, it's not a big deal, bro. I have 1,142 Chrome tabs open. That's it. I mean, come on. Let's see. I like virtuals when bottom. We could try to take a look at virtuals for Dave. Absolutely, bro. But before we do that, let's say, shout out to Mark Dutch, said Frankie is a very poor actor. Shout out to Mark Dutch. Well, I'll tell you this. I was in a movie. Tony D, if you do not leak the name of that movie, bro, because it's embarrassing. I was a young kid in that movie, and I was pretty much the star. I think I was on screen for like 1.7 seconds, and I had a non-verbal line. I shook my head yes, and it was like the most convincing head nod you'll ever see. So shout out to Mark Dutch. I would argue I'm a great actor. I almost won an award for that 1 second screen appearance. I'm actually not lying about that. Tony, actually do not leak that movie, please, for love of God. Even though you could probably watch the whole movie and not realize I was in it. But anyway, let's continue on here. We'll take a look at virtuals. First, let's take a look at Arrow, though, because Arrow is actually something that has moved, right? Yesterday, we looked at Arrow, talking about how not only did we get the full rotation of the profile, which is typically where we look for shorts. However, in the case of an Aerodrome, when we look at this, 12-hour money flow crossover into the green, what do we say with that? Overall continuation might be likely, right? Because when we look for the breakout of a range, right, you do not want to see money flow coming out. What do you want to see? Money flow crossing into the green, indicating the overall trend will continue to the upside. Let me come down to a lower time frame so I can get the timing of this. What was yesterday was the 18th. So we were bing-bonging, yeah, literally. 18th, where were we? At 5 p.m., yeah. Literally a perfect play out of that money flow crossover, right? Saying, hey, this is typically where you're looking for resistance, but context is always king. If you have money flow coming up, right, you're not going to range around in these volume profiles forever. From the low to the POC, up to the high, reject, back to the POC, lose the POC, back to the low, back to the POC, back to the high. Typically, you're looking for shorts up there. But the money flow in the context would call for a potential continuation up, right? Doesn't mean you can't ever flow to the downside, but key level of support here was the value area high. As long as you do not lose that key level, right, you can look for the potential breakout. And I would say here not only do you have the 12 and 16-hour money flow crossover into the green, but you also had some lower time frame money flows, like 4-hour money flow crossover into the green, or was thick in the green yesterday. Take a look at the 8-hour. 8-hour money flow is crossing into the green. Many reasons to anticipate that continuation to the upside, where we looked up to the next target, which in my opinion is still going to be sitting up here at $112, right? Doesn't mean you can't pull back. Doesn't mean it won't dump from here, right? But if you hold above this value area high, right, like, could still look for that continuation up. And maybe you don't even get the drop to the value area high. But I would say, local noise, sure. But I would say, as long as this money flow, not only on the 12, 16-hour, but also the 8-hour, the 6-hour, right? These lower time frames have money flow in the green as well. You could potentially look for that continuation into our next key level. If you get it, $12 is going to be the next key level to look at. And I would actually make this a little bit of a zone between the POC and the value area low, sitting between $1.19 and $1.11. Flip that POC. Could be on your way dang near $1.43. Now, if, bearish case, right? Like, I mean, you can't argue here. I mean, even here, right? Like, you have higher highs on your price action, lower highs on your momentum waves on a 5-hour or 4-hour, right? Bearish divergences printing. You might think to yourself, that's bearish. But again, money flow, a bearish divergence with money flow in the green is going to play out differently than a bearish divergence with money flow crossing over into the red. Maybe I can find a pretty good example. Right? And that, again, like I try to say this all the time. Money flow is always going to keep you on the right side of the continuation, right? So, let's say, let me see if I can find an example here. Yeah, so like right here, this is kind of like a bad example, but, you have your higher highs on price action, lower highs on your momentum waves. Bearish divergence. Cool. We're probably going to get a move to the downside. And then you have support on your value area high, but what is your money flow doing? Your money flow is crossing into the red, indicating what? A likely continuation to the downside, which would mean I'm looking for a low and a lower high and then a lower low, meaning breaking this structure to the downside, breaking the previous low. Where does that lower high likely come in at? Well, more often than not, it comes in on the golden pocket 786 retracement. Where's the lower high come in at? Golden pocket 786 retracement. High, low, lower high, lower lows, right? That's with money flow coming out. right? But when money flow is crossing into the green like we have right now, you do have to be aware of the fact that maybe those 4-hour bearish divergences don't play out in the same way, right? You're going to be looking for a lackluster pullback, higher lows and higher highs potentially, right? Now, if Bitcoin goes to 97K, maybe Aerodrome just all gets invalidated and you just get dragged back down, right? If Bitcoin takes a huge dump, right, it might follow. But I would say like Aerodrome, one of the only alt charts here that look like maybe they can get a little more of a push to the upside. So hopefully that makes sense to you guys. Let's see. Shout out to Mark Dutch, said, Peter Dinklage, why does he remind me of a plumber helping a lonely stepdaughter with a clogged sink? Shout out to Mark Dutch. What did I just walk into? Good Lord. Yo, shout out to Chris Amella. Yo, what a... Someone said we need a mod in here. Oh, God. Let's see. Bada boom, bada bing. God, chat on the second half of the stream, guys, just goes south. It just goes to complete and total. I don't even want to know. All right, let's see. Yo. Shout out to Dab and Flow says, can you show us sometime how you go about setting up folders for your live streams? Or maybe you could make a video on it. Shout out to Dab and Flow. I actually do have a video on that. Actually, Tony D, if you could drop that video, you might want to scrub through it a little bit, Tony, to make sure it's the right one. My TradingView Masterclass, I believe, shows you exactly how to get these folders with, well, it's an unorganized folder. But I show you how to get all these folders, organize your TA. I even show you, if you watch these live streams, you have not gone through the entire beginner series playlist, go to the channel and watch through that. It's like a full beginner, like to get you up to speed. It's like a whole beginner series of, or like a course showing you exactly how to get up to speed with what we look for on the charts here. And in one of those videos, I do show you exactly not only how to set up your folders, but exactly how I typically mark up my charts from start to finish in like a basic way. So yeah, check that out. I even show you how to mark out these templates, right? That way, like your indicator templates. If I want to see Market Cipher B, I click Market Cipher. Market Cipher comes up. I want to check out Lux Algo. I pull up. I click my Lux template, pulls up my Lux Algo indicators I like to see, my MPOC template. I have a video in there showing you how to mark out the MPOCs and have it as a template like this as well. So definitely check that out. We have all those videos in there. Tony, if you could drop that video to help our boy out, I'd greatly appreciate it. Shout out to John Simmons, says, Frankie does TA while most college girls do TNA extremely well. Well, shout out to John Simmons. Like I said, chat goes south very, very quickly after we stop looking at Bitcoin. Shout out to Base Bailey, says Bitcoin sleeping. Yeah, absolutely, 100%. TradingView Masterclass, there you go. Shout out to Tony Candles. Thank you for dropping that. Definitely check that out. And all the other videos in the beginner series. Almost like all the beginner questions we get in here are all answered in that series. Let's see. Keep it family friendly, guys. Shout out to Getchy. Yes, we try to be a family friendly show. All right, let's continue on. Don't forget to smash that like button. Matt Ford says smash that like button. And we are running out of time here, guys. Run it up to 550 today. I'll add 3 Frankie Candles hats, which are guaranteed, 100% guaranteed to improve your win rate. 550 likes on tonight's live stream. We'll do 3 hats. All right, let's continue on. Let's take a look at virtuals for our boy Dave Digital. Not that virtuals chart. Oh my God, I could. Where are we at? Virtuals. I believe it's the MEXC chart. That's not it. Oh, actually, I think I have it saved here. Bada boom. Here we are. All right, so let's take a look here. That's an old fib. Yeah, so this is actually interesting. This is actually like this is nothing to do with what I'm about to talk about, but I do just want to show this to kind of show you guys when you're looking for lower highs and lower lows. This is where TA gets a little bit intricate and a little bit difficult for a lot of people. So what I assume we look for here, I could pretty much say is what we were looking for, right? As we come to the downside and we get this bounce to the upside, you are looking for levels, right? Based off your money flow, let's just say we're looking at the 4 hour with money flow in the red. You're anticipating lower highs and lower lows. That first major level of resistance you're going to be looking at is going to be your local Fibonacci retracement pulled from the lower high to the lower low. That gives you the golden pocket 786 in confluence with the value area low, which does give you a little bit of resistance, right? But it didn't give you that lower high for the lower low. And you might look at this and be like, what the heck? I thought you're supposed to get the lower highs in the golden pocket 786. And this is where things get, you have to have you have to understand things a little deeper, right? This is the first area where you look for the lower high and the lower low. If you're going to put in an aggressive lower high, it could come in here. But as traders, you don't know, right? Anything, you don't know exactly where that low is going to come in at. So at this point, right, if you get the lower high and you do not get the lower low and you start pushing back up, what are you thinking, right? Does this mean that once you break this 786, you're going to go and break the high? Not necessarily, because the last line of defense for me is always going to be the full golden pocket 786 pulled from the swing high to the swing low. And you can see that lower high, you didn't get the lower high here at the first Fibonacci retracement, but then you just pull this up to the full high, and you have another area, which would be the last fib that you would look for a lower high and a lower low in at. And that is where that came in, just to kind of explain that to you guys, right? You could have put the lower high in here and put in the lower low, right? But it wanted to go a little higher, right? But again, until you break the full 786, that's where you look for the breakage structure to the upside. Until you break that, the lower high is still in play for the lower low, which you did get, right? So it's a quick little sauce to go for you guys. But anyway, this has already been cracked. We already put the lower high into the lower low, which money flow wound up playing out with. Like even your 8 hour money flow, we were probably looking at higher time frame money flow, to be quite honest. Maybe the daily, I don't know exactly what we were looking at. But at the end of the day, we have lost the value area low here. And I would still say here, the next level to look at, you have this daily MPOC golden pocket. If you continue to dump to the downside, I would argue that this is like pretty much your next big key level, sitting between $1.40 and $1.34. Let's take a look locally here. Yeah, I mean, you could probably even pull this as a local range as well. If you were looking for like scalps, you're deviating below the value area low. But again, like looking at your money flow, right? Like if I wanted to get another rotation of this profile, I would want to see money flow coming into the green, not coming down towards the zero line to cross into the red. So, in anticipation of this money flow potentially crossing over into the red, you would still have to look for lower highs and lower lows. Key resistance areas would be the local value area low at $1.77, and a bigger key level of resistance, in my opinion, would be the point of control previous value area low, like right here. Let's pull the fib real quick. Pull it from the lower high. So, yeah, I would say this is your big level of resistance. If you're going to continue an aggressive downtrend, that's the first level to look at, right, for a lower low to come in. If you do get it, then I would be looking down here to the golden pocket daily MPOC at about $1.40 all the way down to about $1.34. Money flow still coming out here. So 6 hour trying to cross into the green, though. Yeah. I mean, local bounces, again, with the high time frame green dots wouldn't be impossible. You have your 16-hour green dot, 1 hour money flow coming up. But again, with the higher time frame money flow, this could just be a little bit of like a 1 hour trend up. You got to be careful of those lower highs. Once you reclaim the value area low, you can look up to some of the other local levels. But we'll see. We'll see. We'll see if we can get that push up there. But that is what I'm looking at on virtuals. Pump the likes, y'all. Shout out to Getty. Let's go, baby. Smash that like button. 553 Frankie Candles hats and some free crypto on tomorrow's giveaway. Shout out to Dashiel Rodriguez says, man, your tips are golden. Shout out to you, bro. Shout out to Golden as well. But shout out to you, man. We're here every single weekday. Let's get it. Uniswap. Yeah, we can take a look at Uni real quick. Whoops. I think I actually just recently made a Uni chart. Guy keeps fat fingering the keyboard here. Do I not have a Uniswap chart? All right, I'll just mark this out real quick for you guys. Let me get some. I'm going to pull up the high time frame MPOCs just so I don't have to mark out 1,000 levels just to save some time here. Monthly MPOC sitting right here. Monthly MPOC sitting right here. Here. Whoops. And here. Okay, let me just mark out the weekly real quick. I'm just going to mark out the ones that are relevant. You do have a weekly MPOC sitting right above you here. It's going to be worth looking at. And you got one down here. I'm just going to mark out these two just because they're local. This one's developing, so I'm not going to mark that out. All right, and now we can start to look at our range. Pull the macro fib. We'll even pull it from all the way down here to the high. All right, that's not going to help us out much, so we'll leave that. I mean, that's not going to help us out either. Dang. All right, so this is the overall range, right? This is pretty much like back in the day before altcoins got any kind of move this cycle. We had our bear market range, right? We had the 2021 top, the 2022 bear market. This is your bear market range. You can maybe separate this into something like that as well. That gives you a little bit more of a local range. These are two ranges I'd pay attention to, right? Because this one you tap the value area low, making your next target potentially this value area high monthly MPOC. I'm going to try to keep it simple here, though. I don't want to pull too many levels. Pull from the local lower. Okay, so this is definitely resistance. Weekly MPOC, local Fibonacci retracement zone. That's going to be key level number one, right? So, you know, you front run this value area low. That's why I like breaking this other range down because it gives you a little bit better context. But at the end of the day, if you continue up, I would look for a move into the monthly MPOC, 937, big level. If you break above that, right, maybe you could go for the bigger push into the next monthly MPOC at about 1330, which is confluent with your golden pocket 786 retracement from the absolute high. So these would be like two major resistance zones for Uniswap, in my opinion. And again, from a market cipher perspective, just like everything else, it's like, let's check the 16-hour. Money flow in the green on the 16-hour. Daily money flow in the green. 2-day money flow getting real close to crossing over into the green. So I would say this is your first big resistance level. And again, if Bitcoin decides to nuke to 97K, that could be the place to put the high in. If you get above this, I'd be looking to come up here towards about 1634 down to about 1317. 2-day money flow crossover, guys, is typically what we need for the bigger moves up. You can see the last money flow crossover right here, flip the value area high, big move up. 2-day money flow crossover here, flip the POC, big move up, right? So that's your best chance for the big, and I would say generally this is trending to the upside, right? You're getting a little bit of a wiggling around here, maybe the red dot prints, you get another pullback. You know, again, could be choppy until we finally get that money flow crossover, but that's not too bad looking, in my opinion. But if Bitcoin dumps, obviously this will follow. Hopefully that is, you know, common knowledge. I think at this point it is pretty much common knowledge. So, shout out to Dave Digital said, hashtag never short, hashtag blue chews. Shout out to Dave Digital. You can't short blue chew because it just keeps, you know, pumping, I guess. Anyway, there we go. That's what I'm looking at here on Uniswap. But again, guys, obviously, if Bitcoin dumps, all this stuff usually moves together. But I would say, like, Uniswap looks a little different, similar to how I almost had Adrenochrome. Good Lord. Might be leaking my secret group that I'm part of. Look at not very similar, but like similar to Aerodrome, right? These look a little bit different. But for the most part, across the board here, guys, you got to be careful for those lower highs and lower lows. If we don't get it, we scam pump to the upside. Great. We're long as well. But yeah, you know, the charts are with money flow coming out, pointing towards that potential continuation to the downside. So be careful out there. Not too much of an update today on the live stream as Bitcoin's been going sideways, but yeah, man, these days are super kind of brutal because like we just go over what we went over yesterday. Let's see. Pennywise said, I agree. They got hacked. That's what the weird noise was all about. Shout out to Pennywise. Hopefully that beeping on our PC was not us getting hacked. Let's see. B-Team Crypto says 90 minutes later, Frankie Candles, SFP, value area low, POC, value area high. With that being said, shout out to B-Team Crypto. But guys, like I said, today was going to be a little bit of a short stream. And here we are ending about, you know, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes early. But that's what we're looking at on the charts, guys. If you just got here, scrub back to the beginning of the stream. We cover everything in massive detail. Will we get the scam pump? I don't know. I'm covered on both sides. We're long and short at the same time. So I will check in with you guys tomorrow. If something happens early in the day, I'll drop a market update. But if not, I'll see you guys right here. Same place, same time, 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on the Frank Candles YouTube channel. channel. Shout out to Smoking Wrench. About time you blew your candle out. Shout out to Smoking Wrench. Shout out to Mace Bailey. Shout out to CandleMafia's John Cena, Jesse, Pennywise, Jedi Skirk, Fahid. Shout out to Date Digital, Tyler Durden, Crypto Billy, Crypto Anon, all the mods, guys. Show them the love in the chat. Smash that like button on your way out. I'll see you tomorrow. That's all I got. Hasta pasta. Frankie Candles out. Bing bong!
Look what's next for me, Joe. I'm gonna get that second bell. Where the f is it? They should have them 2 bells ready. Spin it up for me.
Yeah. Head up in the clouds, dog, they saying I look stressed. I've been feeling down, pray to God that I'm up next. Remember when she blew me off, that's why I can't text. Now she call me petty, but I swear I can't forget. This ain't a test. Now they saying that I ball like Jerry West. Coming back for what is mine, I can't take no less. I said go and take a shot, so I need your best. And stop the threats, don't know what is in me. I don't got time, I'm not giving the energy. Too many people around me, I'm finicky. I do not mess with you, dog, you're not kidding me. You don't got way too close. I've been up at the top now, so they all wait for the landslide. I seen too many people that switched up, whose man's high. Through it all, I stay the same, I swear to God, I can't lie. Been down so damn low that I came up for my life. They talk way too much on the internet, it's not real life. I swear my fam waiting, I can't lose, and I'm still right. Still right, I swear that I'm working them up till like midnight. It's real life, I got a time and I'm coming to get mine. In time, I cannot lose and I'm coming right inside. I'm in my, yeah.
Massive pump here, guys. Massive rip to the upside. Unbelievable. Oh, wait. This is the 1 second chart. Whoops. Yikes. That was my mistake, guys. Sorry. That freaked me out. I'm just kidding. Shout out to you guys. I just can't stay away, guys. I just can't stay away. Shout out to Bravo J. Said, this dude is a liar. This isn't a job. This is a big lie. Shout out to Bravo. I don't know if that was towards me. But yeah, guys, I just lied about the charts. Money flow is not coming out. It's actually I inverted all the colors just to lie. Shout out to Bravo J. Yeah, I don't know what that's supposed to mean. But anyway, guys, with all that being said, that's all the time I got for today's live stream. I appreciate every single one of you guys. Smash that like button on the way out, and I'll see you tomorrow. Same place, same time. You know the rest. Hasta pasta. Frank Candles out. Bing bong!
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the road, here we go. Yeah, we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming, I'm a landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command, like, yeah, you about to see me on demand, like, you know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, and we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't ever going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the road, here we go, yeah, at the top of the class on a roll, ayy, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know, yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, yeah, on the road, here we go, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the road, here